green here is amazing. It's desert, and then you have this waterway and all of this green that just kind of takes you away. And there's palm trees and, sunsets and stuff too. But I am finally chilling down to a place where I can get a breather, and I'm really thankful for that. On Monday, the tour will start, the river cruise, and there should be a cool element to that as well, outside of just the river. And I am excited that it's one more day of calm here. Then we'll kind of get into the city. What I'm realizing here is that while I like a party and while I like, lively stuff, chaos is really hard for me. And then chaos when you've got people who keep on coming at you in different ways is hard. Really, really hard. I'm learning things about myself like I do every day, but the impact of pressure like that is something I'm finding out I do not deal well with. And that's okay in my book. I mean, I earned it, right? I got all the way here, and I shouldn't have to be aiming to impress and work here as well. I should be able to just chill. That's why I came, right? And it leaves me with some mixed emotions about Egypt, what part of my experience has been, because there are incredibly nice, sweet people here. And then there are incredibly nice people here who, as I've said, and I just want it to be clear, have a hustle. So, for instance, getting to the hotel this morning, the nice guy who owned the little cafeteria was called, coffee shop kind of thing at the train station, who didn't speak English, and nor should he have to. I'm in his country. Um, we were trying to communicate, and I said taxi, and finally he said car, and I said yeah. And he brings over this guy who speaks English, and immediately starts coming at me about trying to negotiate the price. And I understand that's culturally part of what they do here, but the Uber app was showing like I should not pay more than like 36 pounds. And then there's this whole discussion about whether the Uber app is right and with gas, if it's, adjusted and so forth. That's all over the places I've been here. So anyway, the guy comes up and I said, well, how much? And he said, always ask how much, always ask how much. And it's not about being cheap necessarily, but what a lot of people miss when they are traveling is that if you're going into another culture where, $10 isn't a lot of money for you, but in that culture, it's that $10, that same $10 is like worth 100 of their money. Every time you just throw that money out there like, oh, it's free, you are affecting their economy. And so you really don't wanna do that. I think that's part of the reason why when I lived in Costa Rica, for years, everyone was like, "Oh, it's so cheap in Costa Rica." Then a bunch of gringos go down there, and prices just went through the roof, and it affects the local economy. So, while as an American, we tip and things may seem less expensive than other parts of the world. It is important to use your mind about it so that expectations don't get lost. Back to expectations being lost. Uber's saying, 36 Egyptian pounds for this ride to the hotel. And I'm thinking from the conversations I've had with people, maybe Uber is a bit off because, that's really not much, and that hotel have to be like, you know, a block away or something. So I tell the guy, "Oh, I'll give you 100." "No, no, 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 600." I'm like, "No, dude, we're good. Thanks, peace. I'm not gonna do this," because I'm tired of the negotiation shit. It's just it is everywhere all the time. The 5-year-olds are ready to negotiate with you. So, he keeps on persisting, and it's back and forth and back and forth. I'm like 100, 100, 100, 100. Finally, after 5 minutes and me walking away with my luggage and heading for the curb to go to the other taxis, he, "Okay, okay, man, 150, 150." And I was like, "No," I said 100. And finally, we settled at 120, which didn't seem like that was, absurd to me. And somebody's gonna probably chime in and say I'm cheap and this, that, and the other thing. And I really could give a flying bleep about that because I've been to a bunch of countries. This will be, I think, the 60th, and I know what I know, and I know what I've experienced, and I know what I've been told by people in those countries. So, basically, we settled at the 150 at the 120, and because the denominations coming out of the cash machine, are at, like, the 50, 100, 200. It's not often that, and they don't pass a bunch of change back here and forth here. So I ended up at the hotel giving the dude 150 and I just telling him, thanks for the ride, but you put people through that kind of brain damage and you're really just hurting yourself because it if you just get to the number, it's much more enjoyable for both of us. So that's one of the lessons I've learned. Here is to well, part of that lesson that I've learned here is that this is just daily business for them. And for me, it's stress. And I need to find a way to come down off of some of that stress when I'm in those situations, but it's just grueling, grueling, grueling. So there's that, the beginning of the first day in Aswan with the cab driver. Oh, and like a 1974 Peugeot station wagon that had to have 1,000,000 miles on it, like the other 150 I saw on the way in here, which is an interesting little thing to me because as we do finally get to the house in Italy, I will need a car, and I've been looking at the newer Peugeot 508 station wagons. They seem to be fairly inexpensive, um, readily available in Italy, and they're nice for they're a nice car. So I guess this was confirmation that it's gonna be a Peugeot station wagon for me when I do get to Italy. So, no, 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 no. There you go. And just speaking about that, a little notice from Italy popped up. So I'm like, okay, let me check that out. Got to go away on vacation to hear what's going on in Italy. It's crazy. All right, next time.